You're listening to the Greeks Gridiron, live with Ethan Hristodoulou.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Greeks Gridiron. I am Ethan Hristodoulou, and today begins our look into free agency for the NFL as we dive through team by team, going over a player that I believe these teams should let go of, bring back, and also chase after in what is the potential, because there's, some time that we may see some people get brought back to their teams, but guys that I could potentially see them going after should they become available once free agency strikes on March 15th at 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern. So a lot to talk about, a lot to get into. Today I am focusing on the Pittsburgh Steelers. So my Steelers fans, let me know in the comment section down below, who would you like to see your team let go of, bring back, go after in that pool of free agents once that clock hits 4 p.m. on March 15th. I would love to hear it. Maybe your thoughts and opinions on the people that I have selected here, I would love to hear about as well. So diving right in, we'll begin with the person that I would not mind seeing the Steelers let go, and that's going to be defensive lineman Larry Ogunjobi, someone who signed a one-year, $8 million contract in free agency last season. He ended up with only a sack and a half, 7 tackles for loss, and 11 QB hits on the season. He was brought in after having a pretty strong and monstrous season for the Bengals defense last season, where he had 7 sacks, 12 tackles for loss, and 16 QB hits. So obviously, production not quite where I think the Steelers were hoping to get out of him. And to be honest with you, I'd argue that you probably didn't really get the value out of the $8 million you spent on Larry Ogunjobi. Yes, he has a presence in the locker room, and he's on the older side, so he's not a younger guy, someone that, someone maybe the younger D lineman could look up to and respect as a guy who's been around the league for a handful of years now. But I definitely feel like this is someone that, with the production you got out of him in this lone season that you had him signed up for, you could find those same numbers and get that same production elsewhere, albeit someone maybe a little bit younger, someone that you're bringing up through your system. So this is an $8 million contract that, if you're bringing him back, is he going to accept less? I don't necessarily know. That could be a possibility if he's willing to take a little bit of less money, maybe try to keep him around. But if he's hard stuck at around that $8 million mark, I would maybe just say move on from this one, because again, I think you could replace him with somebody who's already on the roster and get those same numbers from and not really feel like you're losing out on too much, and it's just one less guy you have to worry about bringing back and saves you some money in the long run for the rest of free agency. But that's who I would like to see the Steelers let go of. Now let's talk about somebody that I think the Steelers must re-sign, and I'm adamant about this one here, and it's going to be cornerback Cameron Sutton. You want to talk about somebody who's been around the block now, 6 years in Pittsburgh, and he had a really strong 2022. Somebody who, within the last few years, has really started to come on strong for Pittsburgh. He had 3 interceptions, 15 passes defense, and he's been a strong tackler in the secondary as well. Not somebody known for missing too many tackles, even when he's out in space. Cameron Sutton is a guy that I think the Steelers need to be bringing back and should be wanting to bring back. I know that the cost might be a little bit higher than you may want to spend, but again, he's a solid guy. 15 passes defensed, and then put the cherry on top with those 3 interceptions. Somebody who's not afraid to get in there, get messy, and break up a pass. I really think that this is a guy that if you let him walk, it's going to only hurt your secondary, and you want to bring guys like this back if you can. Homegrown talent, somebody who's been in Pittsburgh the duration of his career, 6 years now. He's been on the Steelers. You want to bring him back, keep him in the system he's familiar with. You don't want to have to, go to someone younger, or maybe let him walk and take a cheaper option where you have to completely reteach the entire system when you have a guy that you're going to end up letting go if you choose not to re-sign him. I think being 28 years old, he's not going to cost you a ton. Yeah, you might have to pay a little bit for the last couple of seasons he's had because they have been pretty good, but you could get like a reasonable 3. Maybe if you want to, instead of giving him more money per year, add in an extra 4th year on the contract so you have him till he's about 31 or 32. And I think it's something that you could make work out for both sides. But Cameron Sutton has just been rock solid the last couple of years now, and I think you want to keep that around. You don't want to have to start over with that, especially at the cornerback position. Wide receivers are only getting better. Offenses are only having it easier the way rules have changed each and every single year. You want to bring back a guy who has been steady, who knows your system, and has a proven track record of success, especially within the last couple of years as well. I think Cameron Sutton would be a massive loss for this defense, and one that you don't want to have to spend your free agent dollars on, or maybe some draft capital trying to replace when the answer is already right there in front of you. Yeah, maybe you have to pay a few extra dollars for Cameron Sutton, but he's proven and he knows what you're doing over there in Pittsburgh. Now, for my third and final piece of this, we're talking about somebody that I would like to see the Pittsburgh Steelers go after in free agency. And this is one that I kind of mulled over a little bit because there's a few different areas of need: defensive line, inside linebacker, offensive line. There's a few places you could really go and look at and say, all right, yeah, we should maybe try to see if we can target somebody in the free agent class that is like an immediate upgrade in these positions of need. I would like to see them go after somebody who I'm actually a pretty big fan of. I've been a fan of his since he was on the Indianapolis Colts, and as I followed him over into Cleveland, and now he's a potential free agent coming off of an injury, which I think sets you up kind of well should the Browns not choose to bring him back. I am talking about inside linebacker Anthony Walker. I think that he could fit in really well with the Steeler culture over there. This is a guy who is rock solid at what he does, and he's also good when it comes to defending in the pass if you ever need him to drop back. He's played in only 3 games this past season. Obviously, leg injury, a bit of a concern. However, like I said, could play in the Steelers' favor here when it comes to just how much money you're going to have to dish out to bring in a quality player like Anthony Walker. He's praised as a vocal leader in the locker room. He hit 100 tackles in 3 seasons in his career, and he was at 92 1/4. So, I mean, you're looking at somebody who has almost 4 seasons of 100-plus tackles under his belt, and he was not necessarily even a starter. He's always been more of a rotational guy, or a guy that's playing like 50 to 60% of the snaps, but he's not necessarily a guy that's like a 3-down linebacker, but somebody who can come in and he gets the job done and you can really rely on him. He's very versatile, really athletic, somebody that is good in coverage. He has a nose for the football. He has a few picks in his career as well. This is somebody that, when you look at what's been kind of the struggle for the inside linebacking group of the Steelers altogether, you look at Miles Jack, you look at Robert Spillane, you look at just the core group of guys there, Devin Bush, another one, that were just struggling. They were allowing passer ratings over 100 this past season. I think an upgrade is necessary. And again, this is one where it's kind of like a few things are coming together here to make this a really good setup for you. Again, he's coming off of an injury. Could be a little bit worried about that. Maybe it takes him a little more time to get back to full speed, but you look at some of the other inside linebackers, you may not have to pay as much for him because there's the uncertainty there. And I mean, are the Browns going to bring him back? This is someone that I could see, after that injury, maybe they're a little bit hesitant. Maybe they think they could get somebody else for cheaper, or maybe somebody that's a little bit healthier coming out of the gates in the beginning of the season, because they're all in right now on trying to win now with Deshaun Watson. They want people that are going to be 100% ready to go. I think it adds up to a really good opportunity for the Steelers to swoop in, help fill a position of need, and get a guy who's a little bit cheaper because he's coming off of such a serious leg injury. This one makes a lot of sense to me. Obviously, few other guys you could certainly go after if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, but when I look at just kind of the way the chips have fallen in this Anthony Walker situation I've talked to you about here, makes a lot of sense for both sides. You go to a really solid organization in Pittsburgh if you're Anthony Walker, and then the Pittsburgh Steelers getting in a rock solid and very competitive, and a guy you can count on in Anthony Walker himself. But that's how I kind of look at the Steelers as free agency. Let Ogunjobi walk. I think you can get the money and production in a better place through someone else. When it comes to bringing somebody back, let me see Cameron Sutton still suiting up in that black and gold, and then go get Anthony Walker if he's available, especially coming off that injury. He's a really good guy. I think he should be able to bounce back. And then on top of that, you get some quality for a cheaper dollar amount. And in this case with the Steelers, not like you're hurting in cap space. You're like, I think, $138,000 over the cap right now. So obviously money's going to get moved around. This will be a plus pickup for you guys. Absolutely believe it. That's it for me, though. I appreciate you watching. Again, let me know in the comment section your thoughts. I'll catch you guys next time in another free agency video. Have a good one.